say that the path of the just is as a shining light that shines more and more unto a perfect day. And as a believer, you must understand that within each day that God has given you, there must be a perfection that you carry. Today's day shouldn't be the same as tomorrow's day. And also, today's day shouldn't be the same as yesterday's day. So you must always move from glory to another glory. And that's why when you go to the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and then verse 18, the Bible goes on to say that we all with unveiled faces, beholding as in the mirror the glory of the Lord, so we are transformed from one glory to another glory within the same image of Christ. So you must carry the glory of God within each and every day. And you shouldn't depend upon yesterday's testimony and then upon yesterday's grace. No. God actually is a God of vast graces. And is a God who has unlimited and then infinite glory. And he wants to see that actually you carry the possibilities of him within that day in Jesus' mighty name. And that one comes out of your relationship with him. And that's where now he gives you his new word. But the Bible goes on to say that actually the Israelites were in the wilderness, and then God used to give them actually a manna for each and every day. And whatever manna they used to keep actually for yesterday, it will actually, become bad. So you must have today's manna day and every day. And that's why also the psalmist goes on to say, blessed be the Lord who loads us with daily benefits. He gives you daily benefits. In other words, each and every day that you live upon the earth, you must actually carry a certain benefit to the people whom you are living with. You must give an answer to the world. You must become actually a solution even to the people whom you are having. So each and every day, you must carry daily benefits. And then your day must carry a certain glory and a certain perfection in Jesus' mighty name. In other words, that if yesterday you were overcome by a certain, sin, by a certain kind of imperfection, today you must strive to see that actually you are not the same as you were yesterday. Today you must see that actually I'm now transformed in Jesus' mighty name. I'm now becoming Christ-like in nature, in understanding, in mindset, in my living, in character. You must strive to see that actually there is a change. And that's why Apostle Paul goes on to say, my little children in whom I travail until Christ be formed within you. There must be a travailing in the spirit. There must be, some urge and then some, some yearning to become Christ-like each and every day in Jesus' mighty name. Because God has called us to live in the spirit, but he has also called us to walk in the spirit. And if there is a walking, you shouldn't walk like you walked yesterday. No. If yesterday actually you happened to stumble and then fell, you must actually tell the devil, don't rejoice over me, my enemy, because when I fall, actually I shall rise. And when I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be my light. And also in this walk, you must walk circumspectively. You must walk as wise and not as unwise, because the days are evil. And if you don't walk as wise and you decide to walk as unwise, what happens? Evil shall befall on you. But if you walk as wise, now this wisdom is not just the worldly wisdom. It is the God kind nature of wisdom. The Sophia, the Greek word for wisdom, it's all about Sophia. And that wisdom is sometimes divided within what you call the epignosis, and then there's what you call the gnosko. Now, when you talk about the gnosko, that is now what you call the advanced knowledge. Now, when you go to what you call the epignosis, that's what we call now the progressive knowledge of God. You have the gnosko of God, but now the progressive knowledge of God, which we call epignosis, it does actually help you to apply whatever Christ wants you to do. That is the epignosis in Jesus' mighty name. Now, also there's what we call the phronesis. Now, the phronesis determines the mode of action. That's why now when Jesus comes, he can tell one blind man, actually, you are healed by just a touch of him. And then another, after touching him, he can say, now go and use such and such water, go to such and such a pool, and then wash your face. It determines the mode of action. That's now what you call epignosis. And that's why you can never cram God. You must live a level whereby you cram God to a level whereby you just say, you know what, God, I'm willing to understand you each and every day. Because it's the same yesterday, today, and then forever. Yes, he was in your yesterday. But also he's a God who seeks actually to move. He's a God who seeks to work. Behold, I'll do a new work. Behold, I'll do a new thing. Shall you not see it? I remember you not the former things. The former things of yesterday, even both the good and then the bad and the evil. You must not remember them. Because you must strive to see that you see a new thing about him in Jesus' mighty name. Because his glory is so much unlimited, is immeasurable, and then is so much infinite. So he does take you from one glory to another glory. So as we all with unveiled faces, you are no longer having a veil. No. Right now you're carrying, you know what are unveiled faces. As we behold in the mirror the glory of God. So we are being transformed from one glory to another glory. From one faith to another faith. From one understanding to another understanding. Because I've told you that God actually is inexhaustible. You can never exhaust God. It's so much vast in Jesus' mighty name. But you must always be willing to be filled by him. You must be always willing to understand him more and more. Like Mary, whereby you sit down at the master's feet so as you can learn more and more. Not just being like Martha, whereby we are so much in service to him, but we don't want to understand him more and more. Now, you must understand that the more you behold, the more actually you do. And the less you behold, also the less you do. And also the more you do, the more you continue to see. And the less you do, the less also you continue to see. So that is how it does actually reciprocate, whatever. But actually, that's how it does actually move. The more you see is the more you do. And the less you see, the less you do. But also the more you do, the more also you will see. And the less you do, the less also you shall see. So you must be a person whereby you are eager to see. Because when you see, you are transformed. And when you are transformed, what happens? Also, you go to a level whereby you walk as Christ-like in Jesus' mighty name. So today I want us to talk about something called agape love. Agape love. It's a Valentine's Day. And I know that some people hold this view whereby they say, this Valentine, its foundation is not so much good. And then other people will say, even though the foundation is not good, but you should just tell the people that actually this is how you should celebrate it in a godly way. Now, the world view, sometimes they celebrate Valentine with a lot of, sex-driven sensations. But now, as a believer, even though you're married, even though you are courting someone, even though you are dating, you must always adhere to celebrate it within the lines and then within the principles that are so much aligned within this righteousness in Jesus' mighty name, within what God says in Jesus' mighty name. So today, as we share about agape love, I pray that may God give you the grace so as you can know how to love. Because the world sometimes it talks about love, but it doesn't understand love. The world talks about love just within feelings. The word love is all about feelings. It's all about benefits. It's all about sex-driven sensations. It's all about, sex hormones. It's so much characterized by idealistic infatuations. It's so much driven by actual lust and then desires. There are so much actually short-term and never even long-term. That is the worldly love. But unto us who know God, we must always show the world what true love is. And we must always tell them that this is now the God kind of love. But now the problem is, as believers also, we are so much mixed with the word love and then the godly love. To the intent that actually the love we carry is a product of the godly love and then the worldly love. And when you mix the two, therefore you shall not have any answer. you shall not have any productive result. So you must always, as a believer, get to understand what is the worldly love, and then what is the godly love, the agape love, in Jesus' mighty name. Because the Bible goes on to say, if you love the world, therefore the love of the Father is not in you. So, what is the godly love? And what is the worldly love? And the Bible goes on to say, if you love the world, you become an enemy of God. Because this is a God whereby is so much jealousy. He is so much jealousy. And he seeks for your total love, not partial love. There are people in church whereby they are giving God partial love and not total love. And you can know a person who is carrying a partial love, whereby today is in church and tomorrow is in the world. But the people that carry total love for God, those are people whereby they are committed to God, whether day or night, whether in the public or in their privacy. They will say, for me to live is Christ and to die is gain. And therefore, they will stay in love towards their God, even within the tough times. Because sometimes love has what we call litmus test. Time is one of the litmus tests to measuring true love. And also, there's what we call adversities of life. They can also act as a litmus test to true love. Because in times of adversities, people withdraw. And also, as time goes on, people actually leave their commitments when it comes to love. So true love must always be tested by time, and also is tested by adversities. And also that one takes me to what I call that my definition of love is all about a decision. Love is a decision. Love is a decision. Love is not a feeling. Love is not emotionally based. Love is not just reasoning. It is a decision based on an understanding of who God is and having that revelation of God. Now, that's why the Bible goes on to say that even before you love your neighbor as you love yourself, it goes on to say that love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And actually it gives another commandment of loving your neighbor as you love yourself. But it starts with God. In other words, if you jump the principle of loving the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and you just begin with loving your neighbor as you love yourself, you shall not know how to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Because it's God who can teach you how to love. Because it's the one who carries the true revelation of love. Because it's love. So when you try to synergize Matthew chapter 22, starting from verse 32 to verse 37, when it talks about, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And also love your neighbor, love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And then it goes on to say that love your neighbor as you love yourself. When you try actually to marry it with 1 John chapter 4 and then verse 8, whereby it talks about, for God is love. And those that actually don't love, they don't know God. When you try to marry the two, you start to understand that you can never love your neighbor before you get to understand or get the revelation of God towards love. When you understand the love of God, therefore also you can understand how to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Because the commandment starts by saying, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. So when you understand and capture and get and become a recipient of God's revelations towards love, that agape love, you can be able even to love your neighbor as you love yourself. In other words, a person who doesn't love his neighbor and he does it, and he sees his neighbor as an enemy, he has not understood what we call agape love. Because the one who doesn't love doesn't know God. For God is love. In Jesus' mighty name. So now, there are many kinds of love. There's what we call eros love. Now, that is what we call the romantic love, the sexual love. And there's what we call now the phileo or philia love. That's now the brother love, the friendship love. And there's what we call the storge love. The storge love. Now, that's what we call the family love. And there's what you call now the agape love. Now, that is the God kind of love. But today I want to lay more emphasis on the agape love. Now, when we talk about love, love has what you call love languages. There's a man called Dr. Gray Chapman. He talks about the love languages, and he goes on to say love languages refers actually to how different people express their love to and then from their partner. And he goes on to say there are 5 love languages. He talks about gifts. He talks about affirmation of words. He talks about physical touch. He talks about quality time. And also, I've talked about gifting and then quality time and then affirmation of words. And then he does talk about what you call acts of service. So Dr. Gray Chapman talks about the 5 love languages. And those are now what he refers as how people express their love to and then from their partner. And he mentions 5 of them, 5 love languages. That is acts of service, gifts, talks about affirmation of words. He talks about the physical touch and then the quality time. So that is a man trying to give a concept of the love language. But again, in this context of trying to talk about the agape love, that is those actual love languages, they are also expressed within this agape love. Even agape love requires time, quality time with your God. Even agape love requires words of affirmation, thanksgiving, adoration. Even this agape love requires acts of service. It's so much sacrificial. And also this agape love goes in hand with giving in Jesus' mighty name. But now, let us try to understand this agape love more and more. But again, even before I go to what we call so much of agape love, there's what you call love and then lust. Many people tend to say that they are in love or they are loving. But actually, they are not even in love. They're just under lust. And what happens? Many people tend to give up along the journey of love. And they say, what was happening? As if the fire was kindled. What happened that actually the fire went down? Now, there's a difference between love and then lust. Love always tends to see that actually it does understand somebody. And then it grows. And it carries these aspects and then the virtues of commitment, trust, and then acceptance. But also it goes further to try to understand someone. And not just actually to get benefits from someone, but to understand somebody. Whereas this last, it is so much. You know what? It carries sexual-driven sensations, and it's so much characterized by sexual hormones. So it seeks its benefit, and after that, it does withdraw. Even in so much, you know what? It's blood by, actually, you know what? It is blood from the ability to understand someone. You just understand somebody's physicality, but you not go to a level whereby you understand somebody's character, somebody's behaviors, somebody's mindset, somebody's values, somebody's attitude. You don't go to that level. So that's what we call now lust. So now, when you talk about agape love, let us go there. This is what the scriptures goes on to say. We have read Matthew chapter 22, starting from verse 37 to verse 39. The Bible goes on to say, Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love thy God with all your heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Verse 38. This is the first and then great commandment. And the second is like unto this. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as you love thyself. Now, this is what I've said. When you talk about that, you know what? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And then you shall also love your neighbor as you love yourself. You can never love your neighbor as you love yourself until you get a revelation of God's love. When you start love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your... That one gives you an advantage so as you can love your neighbor as you love yourself. So First priority in love, it's all about loving your God. When you capture that revelation, by that you can love your neighbor. Now you're battling people whereby even if they're in church, they can never love their neighbors. They can never love their fellow believers. They can never forgive. They can never gain that reconciliation. There's so much in this unity. You pass there, I pass there. You enter here, I enter there. You sit there, I sit there. I find you there, I go there. There's so much enemies even in church. It's because they don't understand this agape love. They have not gotten a revelation of who God is. The agape love forgives. That's why Jesus was able to say, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And Jesus still died for the people out of love. For God so loved that the one that he gave his only begotten son. He loved and then gave. Agape love gives. Not because actually you deserved it, but because I love you. Agape love atones. That's why Jesus was given us as a sacrifice unto us. That is agape love. You love your enemies because it's written. But you can never love your enemies until you get a revelation of God's love. That agape love. So, there's what called the general revelation and then the special revelation. Now, the special revelation, you receive it actually when you encounter this Jesus Christ and his Spirit. He begins to teach you the mysteries of God. You get to understand the word. You get to understand how to deal with the weak. You get to understand how to deal with the indifferent. You get to understand how to deal with the people actually that do trespass against you. You get to understand to deal with the people who actually, you know what, he'll speak about you. You love them because you get to understand it's not them, it is Satan. In Jesus' mighty name. For he came to save those who are lost. He wasn't so much in enmity towards them. He was so much in love with them. Because he understood that the chief sponsor of wickedness, it is Satan, and not actually them. And that's why when Jesus also comes, he does cast the demons out of a man. And then actually the demons go. And then he's able to deliver a man. He doesn't actually destroy the man and then the demons. He came to save those that are lost. So before you become an enemy to your brother, before you become, you know what, an enemy to your sister, just understand that there is an enemy. We have an adversary, roaring like a lion, seeking whom he may devour. And he causes disunity. And he causes enmity, even within church. But we can always safeguard ourselves if we have this agape love, whereby you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. Whereby you shall love somebody even though he has hurt you. Whereby you shall sit and smile and laugh with somebody. Not with the acts of pretense, but actually with the whole heart. Because you understand it's not him. Actually, it is the devil. Father, forgive them for they don't know what they are doing. Because it is somebody. There is an agency. There is, you know what? There is a certain, you know what, agent choosing them. And that is the devil. In Jesus' mighty name. So now, that is Matthew chapter 22, starting from verse 37 to verse 20. No, to verse 39. Now, as you continue now to understand this love, one man was called Simon Peter. When you go to the book of John chapter 21, from verse 15 to verse 17, let us go there. I believe you are being blessed. We are trying to understand and then demystify the mystery of agape love, the God kind of love, the unconditional love. Because we are called to love unconditionally. We are called to love as Christ loved the church, even within the families. And let me tell you this, for those people even in marriages, if you don't understand this kind of love, which is agape love, if you have not gotten its revelation, marriage will be hard for you. There are people by their marriages, there's so much on the phileo love, the friendship kind of love. In other words, if you cross my path, we are no longer friends. But your marriage should be established on the agape level, whereby it is so much patient, whereby it doesn't stick evil towards another person, whereby he doesn't rejoice in the iniquity, but he rejoices within the truth, whereby it does forgive, it endures, it bears all things, it believes all things, it hopes all things. You must carry that agape love even in your marriage, and your marriage will stand strong in Jesus' mighty name. That's how you ought to love your wife. And the Bible goes on to say that husbands, as Christ loved the church. You must study how Christ loved the church. When you study how he loved the church, whereby he gave himself as a ransom, whereby he gave his body. John chapter 15 and verse 13. That actually, this is love. That actually, someone lays his life for his friends. That is love that he did. He loved the church and he gave his body. He gave his life in Jesus' mighty name. So if you are not willing to have this agape love, don't enter that marriage. Because this is not an institution that is governed by phileo or eros alone. It must be governed, first of all, by agape love, the God kind of love, in Jesus' mighty name. Whereby you love somebody, regardless of their weaknesses. That's why Jesus, even though you sin, is able to forgive. Now, when I say that actually, we must love your wife as Christ loved the church. Study how Christ loved the church. That even though you were born again, you are still sinning, but actually, he imputes his righteousness on you. He still says that actually you can be better. He still is willing to transform you. He's still willing to give you so as you can receive what you call sanctification. He doesn't eliminate you. So if you don't have this agape kind of love, the revelation of God is love, don't try that marriage. You must be prepared and you must be standing firm within this agape love, whereby you carry unconditional love. You accept somebody's weaknesses and you are willing to see that actually they are changed. You are patient on them. Not just carrying the friendship love, whereby if you're not willing to change, we are done. Not just carrying the romantic love, whereby you are still beautiful. Therefore, if you become ugly, we are no longer friends. We are no longer, partners. Agape love loves unconditionally in Jesus' mighty name. So here comes Peter in John chapter 21 and verse 15 to verse 17. John chapter 21 from verse 15 to verse 17. The Bible goes on to say, so when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, love thou me more than this? He said unto him, Lord, you know that I love thee. He said unto him, feed my lambs. He said unto him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, thou lovest me. He said unto him, Lord, you know that I love thee. He said unto him, feed my sheep. Second time he said, Simon, son of Jonas, love me. Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, love thou me. And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Jesus said unto him, feed my sheep. Now, you must understand this. When you got to the ancient Greek, actually, there's a translation for this. Jesus was saying to Simon Peter, that Simon Peter, do you love me? Oh, do you agape me? The Jesus kind of love that he was talking about, it was agape love. Simon, Simon, son of Jonas, do you agape me? And Simon Peter was saying, Jesus, I phileo you. And he goes on to tell him, feed my lambs. Second time, Simon, son of Jonas, do you agape me? Simon Peter says, Jesus, you know, I phileo you. As in, I carry that friendship love. The third time, Jesus tells him, Simon, son of Jonas, do you phileo me? And Simon said, yes, I phileo you. In other words, Jesus was seeking to see that Simon Peter could just transit from just a level of phileo, friendship love, to a level whereby he carries agape love, the unconditional love. But Simon Peter remained within the phileo love. That's why Jesus tells him, feed my sheep. But if he had said, Jesus, I agape you, then Jesus would have told him, now, keep my word. In Jesus' mighty name. Now, this agape love. No, when you talk about this context, there are many people whereby they don't love God. They don't agape God. They just follow him. As long as it comes to bad times, he goes. But actually, Jesus makes a good statement. When he goes on, in fact, it was John in the Gospels. John goes on to say that he calls himself the beloved disciple of Jesus. The beloved disciple of Jesus. And yet another person whereby he goes on, actually, he carries this conscience. Now, there are two people. There are two people. Simon Peter carries the conscience of the phileo love towards God. Whereas this man called John carries this conscience of the agape of love of God towards him. The agape love of God towards him. So two people, they carry a different conscience. One carries the friendship love, which is the phileo love for God. Whereas another man understands that actually God has agape love toward me. Now, it's not how much you love God. It's how much he loves you. When you understand how much he loves you, therefore you can respond to his love. That is it. It's not how much you can express your love towards him. It's how much he does express his love towards you. Whereby you were yet a sinner, Christ died for you. He loved us even before we loved him. So when you understand that agape love, you become like John, whereby he was the beloved of Jesus. You transit from a level whereby you are just friends. But you go to a level whereby you love God unconditionally. That's why Simon Peter, even within the times of adversities, he denied Jesus. I don't know that man. And whereas John, when Jesus was on the cross, he told his mother. In fact, he told John, look after my mother. He never told John. He never told his relatives. He never told his brothers to look after his mother. He told John, now, look after my mother. Because he understood that this guy loves me. Not even just he loves me, but actually God loved him even before he did love, before John loved him. In Jesus' mighty name. So, you must always get to understand this agape love of God. But for you to understand it, you must get a revelation of who God is. And that revelation, you get it by reading the Bible, by relating with the Spirit of God. And out of that, you are transformed within this love of God. And you become also a giver of it. Because when you don't know this God, you shall not know his love. And since you don't know his love, you shall never also become a giver of his love. And if you're not a giver of his love, therefore you don't know him. In Jesus' mighty name. So now, that's all about the agape and then the phileo love. When you go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, starting from verse 1 to 8. Let us run there because of time. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, starting from verse 1 to 7. The Bible goes on to say, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not love, I am become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have faith that can also remove the mountains, and I have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor and to give my body to be burned and don't have love, it profits me nothing. And he goes on to say that love suffers long, is kind, love envies not, love doesn't carry selfishness. Love is not puffed up. Love does not behave itself unseemingly. Love seeks not our own, as in the gains. Love is not easily provoked. Love thinks not evil. Love rejoices not in the iniquity, but love rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love shall never fail, but where there shall be prophecies, they shall fail. Where there shall be tongues, they shall cease. Where there shall be knowledge also shall cease. And I like what he goes on to say in verse 13. And now abides faith, hope, and charity. These three, but the greatest of them, it is love. It's amazing that the Bible says that where there are prophecies, they shall cease. Where there are tongues, even they shall also fail. Where there is wisdom, it shall vanish. But yet love shall not fail. It's amazing when the Bible goes on to say, though I speak tongues of men and then angels, yet I don't have love. I'm like a sounding brass and a tinkling cymbal. Even though I can demystify all mysteries through prophecy, and I can also speak all wisdom, and carry the faith that can move the mountains, and yet I don't carry love, it profits me nothing. Even though I can give my food to the poor, and also give my body to be burned, and I don't carry this love, I am nothing. So what kind of people are like those? And I know they might be even in church. Just because you are so much gifted, it doesn't mean that you carry the love of God. Just because you are tongue speaking, it doesn't mean that you carry the love of God. As long as your prophecy and your tongue speaking and your sacrifices and show love for the poor is based on this, that love is not self-seeking, then that is okay. Love is not provoked. That's okay. Love doesn't rejoices in the iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Then you are good to go. In others, the people whereby they are carrying just a gift, but never the love of God. God is not seeking for a gift. He's seeking for his love within your heart. It is very easy for you to do a gift and that get away from me, because they say, we prophesied in your name. We made miracles in your name. And it goes on to say, get away from me, you doers of iniquity. And the Bible goes on to say that love doesn't rejoice in iniquity, but it rejoices in the truth. In others, whatever you were doing, you're not doing it in the truth of God's love and revelation towards him. Because agape love is revelation. So when it goes on to say that even though I speak the tongues of men and then angels, and I don't carry this love, I'm like a sounding brass. In other words, it's not about the gift. It's about the love for him. Not the love for the gift. Your love must be to him before actually even the gift. Your love for God must come as first. You must love God more than even ministry. You must love God more than even your talent. You must love God more than just sounding to be so much spiritual. You must love God even more than your family. Whoever's not willing to leave his family, relatives, and then follow me is not worthy to be my disciple. That is the love whereby it will cost you all things. In Jesus' mighty name. We have forsaken all things and then chose to follow you. What is our gain? God desires total love, not partial love. He's a God who is so much jealous. In Jesus' mighty name. So people, that is the word of God. You must carry the agape love. Simon, Simon, do you love me more than this? Simon, Simon, do you agape me more than this? Jesus, I phileo you. Do you love me unconditionally? Jesus, I love you as a friend. Simon, Simon, carry this love for me. Not just the phileo love. Carry this liberation of me. Don't just love me
because of what I do. Because the time will come whereby I'll be chained. I'll be on the cross, I'll be beaten. And the cock shall crow, and yet you shall deny me. But if you love me, you shall say, God, we are together. In Jesus' mighty name. Do you love God more than your money? Do you love God more than your wife? Do you love God more than your car? Do you love God more than your phone? Somebody can be on phone for 4 hours watching a movie or chatting and flirting with someone, and yet he can never give God at least 1 hour or 30 minutes of flirting and lavishing on God. Where went your love for God? Does that one explain why we can never see the move of God in church? Because the more you love him, the more actually he does show himself strong on your life. The eyes of those they are looking to and fro, looking for a man who is so much faithful. Faithful in loving him, so as God can show himself strong on his behalf. In Jesus' mighty name. Do you love God more than even just food? We've been in a month of fasting and then prayer. But some people, even they have not even gotten at least 5 days of fasting. Yes, love God more than food. Love God more than materialistic things. In Jesus' mighty name. Because the Bible goes on to say that Gehazi fell in love with whatever Naaman brought. And yet he lost the position of becoming a successor of Elisha. A man said, give me some food, I'm about to die. And he said, what is all about this inheritance? You can take it. And yet he looked for it afterward. And you couldn't get it. Because he loved what you can get, satisfaction. But the love for God, however much even your outward man is perishing, but your inward man is being renewed day by day. In Jesus' mighty name. Where went the agape love for God? That is the love whereby you can be patient. I know you are dating someone. And the guy will say, if you don't sleep with me, I will not marry you. Come into my house. Let us meet. And you refuse to go to his house. And he goes on to say, we are done. Let him go. Remain on the truth. Because I know this love for God doesn't disappoint. Proven yourself in my life. And I've come to realize you're too faithful to fail me. The love for God can make you to leave your home. Abraham lived your native land and go to the land that I will show you. And the man is willing to follow. Because I know this guy. And I love him. In Jesus' mighty name. The love for God will make you to become like a woman who had an alabaster oil. And the Bible goes, it was equivalent to a year's wage. And actually, he broke it at the feet of the master. You give it to God. In Jesus' mighty name. The love for God will make you to be like Abraham. Abraham, I know that you love your son. And I'm the one who gave you your son, but give him to me as a sacrifice. And the man was saying, God, he came from you, and you can have him. God was testing his love. True love is tested by time. And also, this true love is tested by adversities. And for you to prove your love for God, sometimes actually requires a sacrifice. As he said to Abraham, give me your son. Because sometimes that part of sacrifice, God uses this to check whether you still love him or you love what he gave you. Now, if you love what he gave you, that is what you call idolatry. You are worshiping what he gave you and not him. That's why one man goes on to say that, you know what, yes, it has all gone, but actually I've not lost my worship. He worshipped God in Jesus' mighty name. Loving God even in the prison. For the Lord is good, I will lift his name higher everywhere I go. And the guys, they find themselves in the prison and they can still say, everywhere I go, I will lift his name higher. Paul and Silas, they're chained. And then they're still singing for God. In Jesus' mighty name. Love God more than money. Love God more than women. Seriously, my brothers there. Love God more than social media. Out of the 24 hours, you can give social media 10 hours in a day. There are people who are like that. And they can never give God one time. So you have slept, even you cannot wake up at least for an hour to pray. And no wonder temptations are winning us. Wake up so as you shouldn't get into temptations. Because the more you love him, the more you get this intimacy with him, also the more he does fuel you so as you can overcome. Since he has set his love on me, therefore also I shall deliver him. Temptations shall come your way, and God shall deliver you. Because you have set your love on him. But simply because our love is not set on him, it is set on the things. It is set on what we want. It is set on what he gives. That's why even we don't receive deliverance. Because the principle is, since he has set his love on me, therefore I will also deliver him. In Jesus' mighty name. Simply because God has given us his promises. It doesn't mean that things will work out for good and then everything will be just on the, silver plate. They are what you call principles that he has set in life. And those are the principles that sustain and govern the promises. In Jesus' mighty name. Follow the principles of love, and you shall see the promises of God becoming a manifest within your life. Follow the principles that he has set in place, and you shall see success following you. In Jesus' mighty name. And this book of yours shall not depart from your mouth. You shall meditate upon it day and night to do whatever is written in it, and you shall have your way prosperous and successful. In Jesus' mighty name. Principles are vitally important. However much you are looking for the promises, there's a principle of love. Loving the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. That's what we call total love for God. Not partial love for God. And that total love for God comes to be seen in your commitment towards God. How passionate you are about God. How you desire the pleasures of God. In the presence of God, there are pleasures evermore. And how you can sacrifice for God. Sacrifice dealing with time. You give your time to God. You give your body, offer your body as a living sacrifice. Holy and acceptable before God. You choose to be righteous. You choose to live for God. In him you live, move, and then have your being. For you to live is Christ and then to die is gain. That is the man is giving his life to Christ. In Jesus' mighty name. So people, that is the agape love. Your love is kind. We say your love is patient. I know you feel my heart. I say with so much peace and joy. You amazing Father, you're amazing. You fill my heart. Jesus, you love me too much, oh. Too much, oh. Too much. Excess love, oh. We say, Jesus, we love you too much, oh. Too much, oh. Too much in the excess love, oh. Thank you for loving us too much, oh. Unconditionally. Thank you for loving us too much, oh. La, la, la. Father, we thank you for today. We have learned about your agape love. We pray that may you give us the heart that desires to always fall in love with your revelation of what agape love is. Give us the grace, Father, so as we shouldn't just love with a friendship love, but should love, Father, with the agape love that is so much unconditional. Give us the grace, Father, to always Never just carry the gifts of prophecy and then tongues and yet we don't carry your love. Let us carry all those gifts and yet we are also abiding in your love in Jesus' mighty name. Because you say that those who don't know this love, they cannot even know you. Because for you, you are love. Give us the grace to always walk in love, live in love, abide in love, and also show this love to the people whom we live with in Jesus' mighty name. And give us the grace to love you with all our hearts, with all our minds, and with all our soul. Having the total love for you, and not just the partial love. Being committed to walk with you day and the night in Jesus' mighty name. Amen, amen. Thank you so much.